Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Football.
Yeah, welcome in. It's a Monday, so it's comments from YouTube. It's Zolgad. It's Declan Goff. It is all the excitement that comes from year-round coverage of the Vikings. Training camp only about a month off now, Dex, but that does not mean that the National Football League ever stops. And you, as part of that, have plenty of questions from those who consume our content, which we, of course, appreciate, on Vikings feedback.
It's funny. I was at the golf course yesterday, and I was paired up with a couple of guys that I'd met before, and they asked what I did, and obviously I said I'm the executive producer for Purple Daily, a Minnesota Vikings-based show, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. He says, you guys talk about the Vikings 7 days a week, 365 every day of the year.
Said you're not a fan?
I said, yes, I am.
You don't know about us?
He said, what do you talk about now? What do we talk about now? I said, we're doing top 25 lists. We have feedback to get to. We have comments. There's always, the NFL doesn't sleep. No, could we have done this show in 2006? When the NFL offseason maybe wasn't
we could have done
relevant?
10. Oh, we could have done that.
Oh, okay. That answered that question.
Whatever we want because National Football League is year-round.
That answered that question. Some great feedback on our Purple Daily YouTube comments section here that we're about to get to. Stuff on the new offense, Dalvin Cook, etc. But first, the 3M Open is coming to Minnesota, and it's more than just a golf tournament. By attending the 3M Open, you're helping raise money for charity, and not to mention the scenic and local food trucks, the signature cocktails, the family fun side of golf. Join us July 18th through the 24th at TPC Twin Cities to see what it's all about. You can get your tickets too at 3mopen.com/tickets, 3mopen.com/tickets. Go check it out. Don't have to watch me hit bombs. You can go watch actual professionals. I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm getting out there. 3M Open coming in about 3 weeks here to TPC Twin Cities. All right, Judd. First comment here from Naliath on Dalvin Cook. He says, I think with Dalvin Cook's role changing, it's going to add a lot to the offense. And I can see Osborne turning into a Palmer role. I don't know what he means by Palmer.
David Palmer.
Who
was a multifaceted sort of a Marshall Faulk type right around that same time. Not that good.
But he says the offense is going to be in much better shape because it was ignored for so long. Judd, is the Vikings offense going to be in a lot better shape in 2022? I
sure as hell hope so. Yeah, that's the whole point, right? Like the entire point of this entire project, this entire thing. In fact, I saw a Justin Jefferson comment about the fact that we are no longer a run-first offense. Hallelujah. So, yes, I mean, the whole point of Kevin O'Connell coming in here and being an offensive first, quarterback first guy is to make this, it's to take this offense from having a lot of really productive players and being pretty damn good to being really damn good, right?
Yes.
So, yes, I hope so. And yes, on the Cook thing, health provided. Always have to say that about Cook. But if Dalvin Cook can stay healthy with the way that they're going to use him, which is, I don't think he's now going to be nearly as big a run first guy. Because, I mean, he used to just be the, bell cow, right? Carry the ball, Dalvin. Carry the ball 25, 30 times. I think he's still going to carry the ball plenty, but I also think he's going to catch more passes. Yes, if this offense is not substantially improved from what we've seen, especially in 2021, there's going to be big disappointment. Big disappointment.
Tom has a little bit of a pessimistic view here. In fact, he references the Jefferson comments. Said Justin said in the news a few days ago that we are not, quote, a run-first team anymore. But until I see KLC's offense, it's too hard to tell how much better they will be. I do expect them to simply be better on defense, getting Smith and Hunter back in there. But run-first teams like we were last season are simply too predictable, and we proved that point by running the ball 93% on first down. Run-first teams take too much time off the clock. They're hard to sustain for long periods, and they leave teams kicking field goals a lot. Throwing a vanilla offense from Kubiak, and it wasn't surprising to see where we ended up. Now, Tom's all in that second statement, all right. The run first is boring. It mostly settles for 3 than it does for 6. And Kubiak just really cooked up a vanilla offense, but he thinks it's still a little too hard and a little too much of an assumption to make that the Vikings offense in 2022 is automatically going to be in a better spot.
It better be.
It has to be.
I mean, it's not an option for it not to be. You've done everything so that it will be. Because you previously, and I don't believe this for the entire time that Mike was here, but I mean, I don't think he could stand portions of the offense last year, namely the quarterback, and his coordinator was, put in way over his head. So if you're assuming that the offense is not going to take a substantial step up, then what was the point of this whole thing? So it better be.
Terry says Kwesi is playing Moneyball. The Vikings are going towards a system of running backs by committee, with running backs always on rookie deals. Dalvin Cook is an aging, injury-prone, expensive running back, and in 2023, his value will not equal his cap hit. So Terry believing that it's going to be a committee. Now, I think Dalvin Cook, if you really wanted to, go on a pie chart, which the show loves to do, I think Dalvin Cook still gets 90% of the touches.
So is he
as a
saying
running
Cook's
back.
gone in 2023 or 2022?
I think so. Yeah, he's saying in 2023 that he's gone. This is the last year of Dalvin Cook, and we're experimenting with the committee now to show that Dalvin Cook is not necessarily going to be used long term in the offense.
I think they're going to use Cook in a lot of different ways, a lot more creative, and I think he is going to be used a lot. I don't think he's going to be as abused as much, because when you give him the ball and just say run between the tackles, that physically takes a lot of toll. But if Dalvin Cook's not back in 2023, I'm surprised. I'm not shocked, Declan, but I think Dalvin Cook is going to have a very big role. And look, you know what? Package of plays for Kene Nwangu for sure. I think there'll be a package of plays, but I don't think he's the type of guy that you're going to use like a ton. I think that there's ways to use him. Madison will spell Cook, but I still expect Cook to be a very big part of this offense in 2022. 2023, I think it's probably a bit too early to try and predict.
I know everyone is kind of going away from drafting running backs early in first rounds and obviously paying running backs top dollar, but next season, I'm going to assume Alexander Madison's going to walk. He's in a contract year this year.
Yeah,
if you were to get rid of Dalvin Cook, and now all of a sudden, unless Kene Nwangu just explodes onto the scene, and that could be contingent on him having a breakout year.
Sure.
I think I'd be pretty surprised if Dalvin Cook is still not the starting running back even in 2023. I think it would take a lot of things happening against Dalvin Cook for that to be the case.
Well, at some point in time, he's just going to simply break down. And I think that becomes the question. And unfortunately for him, he has gotten hurt a lot. And so his breaking point physically will probably come quicker than some guys. But yeah, they're going to give him every chance, at least in the coming season, to succeed. And I do think that he has a skill set that's been tapped partially, but not fully yet, that we are probably, hopefully going to see from him.
And to the first commenter's point earlier about just the offense and will it be successful or not be successful, I think at the end of the day, whether the Vikings are competing for a division or potentially making a playoff run, my bar, and we talked about this, the bar of success for the Vikings a few Fridays ago, I think on Purple Daily.
Sure.
Can the offense be finally a top 5 offense? Like, can it?
Sure.
It got so boring watching Vikings football the last few years. The offense was great on the first drive, right? The scripted plays, and then it was a snooze fest the rest of the game. So even if the Vikings maybe aren't contenders in 2022 immediately, can that offense be a popcorn eating offense where you're on the edge of your seat and you're wondering what the next play is going to happen? What's the next bomb to Jefferson?
It better
That's
be.
what I want to see.
Clint Kubiak was set up to fail 1,000%. He had no business in that job. He was from day one in over his head, right?
Yes.
This offense better be damn good. If it's not, what's the point? Why did you do all of these things? You went and got a coach who comes from the Rams, who's a former pro quarterback, who knows offense inside and out, and says that he can work with Kirk. If you don't come in and have an offense that's extremely productive, then I don't get the entire thing. Like, that's why you're doing this. You're doing it to make the offense really good.
I agree.
Top 5 would be awesome, but I'm saying just a solid in the top 10, no questions asked. Sure. And maxing out top 5 is great. But if you continue to scuffle and struggle, then I got big problems with it.
How about this comment from Blaze? It says, I think C.J. Ham will be a surprise standout Swiss Army knife, just like Jim Kleinsasser was, a fullback / tight end who can block and catch. What about C.J. Ham having a little bit of a breakout, Judd?
So originally I thought that when O'Connell got hired that C.J. Ham might not return. But upon watching practices and thinking more, I think, in fact, I responded to that guy as well. I think he might be right. I think he might be right. So there's a couple things here that are going to be, well, there's a couple things. And I'm not saying that Ham's going to be a star, but O'Connell's got the opportunity here and he's being challenged and I sort of like it. In Irv Smith Jr., I'll again say this, if he can stay on the field, and in a guy like Ham, he's got certain guys that can play positions that McVay, the Rams, didn't really use, right? But in O'Connell's world, he knows that everybody and their brother is going to be watching film of what the Rams did offensively to try and get tells about what he's going to do with the Vikings. So, for instance, the Packers for week 1, right? They're going to watch film of the Rams and say, okay, how does this translate to the Vikings now? O'Connell's got the opportunity here with guys like Ham and Smith to utilize positions that the Rams didn't to throw different looks. So I actually sort of like this one. And the Kleinsasser one is intriguing. Just to be very clear, I am not saying that Ham is going to be a Pro Bowl player. I am saying that I think he might be utilized because the Rams didn't use a fullback, really. And now with a fullback, you can give teams, especially in the first quarter of the regular season, looks that they didn't get from the Rams that might surprise them if the Vikings run those plays.
Look at Judd Zolgad spewing the CJ
That's football.
Ham takes,
give me the football sounder.
All right,
give me football.
Yeah, sorry. Football. I was not on my Judd bingo card of praise in late
Well,
June.
at first I thought Ham's gone, and then the more I watched and thought, I thought, you know what? I think that what that guy said's right.
One more comment here before we get some alternate reality questions. Phyllis says, improved defense should make a significant difference for us, but despite that, I am a true blue Kirk fan. I'm hoping that he will shed all the criticism and shine this season, just absolutely shine, all in caps, and that his O-line will be the breakout to provide the support Kirk needs and should expect. Skol Vikings. So the breakout from Phyllis, not a player. The offensive line, Judd.
Well, not wrong. And I guess my question is, can Bradbury, with an additional 10 to 12 pounds, can he basically take a step? Mm-hmm. I have my doubts about that one. The transition at right guard has to be an improvement on Drew Samia, which shouldn't be that tough, right?
Get nasty.
So yeah, it's a great point. The offensive line, I like the tackles. I like Cleveland at left guard. And look, if they can maximize Kirk Cousins like they think, let's see it, man. Like let's for the first time see Kirk as a Viking not just translate to statistical success. Let's see it translate to playoff run. Not one game, not one win. Let's see it translate to playoff run success.
Some alternate reality questions that we talked about on other episodes with Mackie. But Judd, when you think alternate realities, what's one beverage that gets you into the alternate reality space?
Oh, there's so many good questions here. You know what? I'm going to go with probably right now. Right now. So be very careful in listening to this closely.
Okay.
Our friends from Surly Brewing are brewing up the Logic Bomb, which I know you've tried as well.
I like the Logic Bomb. Yeah.
The Logic Bomb. Now I am a furious guy through and through. There's some in my fridge right now. So I'm not deviating. I'm not going away from the cleanup hitter in my Surly lineup, but I am telling you,
good for you, Gardy,
that the summer of Surly is here, and Logic Bomb's batting third right now. Logic Bomb, not going to, you know what, the Supremes are great. They're scattered throughout. They're the piranhas. But Logic Bomb batting third right now, hitting 376. Leads the league. Fantastic. Check it out. And then, as always, ladies and gentlemen, show us your cans at JZolgad on Twitter. Logic Bomb, the summer of Surly has arrived, and this is the beer for you.
Also, a shout out to our friends at Aquaside. So if you own a lake home, maybe you have a pond even on your property, give my friends at Aquaside a call. They've been helping people maintain nice lake shores for over 60 years. There's nothing worse than when you invite your friends out onto the lake, right, and you step in, you get that lake algae at the bottom of your feet. Oh, I can't stand it. When I see a lake, I see an Aquaside lake when it's clear, and it's Aquaside pellets.
Can see the bottom, right?
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
Can see the bottom. It's clear, and Aquaside pellets help you remove that lake weed and algae, and it's a safe product. It's registered with the EPA and the DNR. No rinky-dink, no cutting corners product here. This is a safe product.
Coming from.
The shipping is free.
Yep. They're
local here if you're in the Twin Cities. They're right in White Bear Lake. But if you'd like to get their products, you can just also go to aquaside.com. That's aquaside.com to learn more.
Sitting by that crystal clear lake, sipping a Surly.
Oh,
how about that
music,
for you, Declan?
Music.
That is a summer's day.
Years.
All right.
Daniel says, I've often wondered about Bradford and Cook both being healthy in 2017. I think both them staying healthy would have gotten home field and a Super Bowl. Also, Duke DeGod says on our YouTube channel that Sam Bradford would have gotten us to the Super Bowl, period. Bradford played in Philly prior to coming to Minnesota, so he knew that moment wouldn't be too big for him. And if anything, Zimmer's lack of coaching was the real reason we lost. Whatever you Zimmer and Vikings fans in the face, they never, or whenever something about the Zimmer and Vikings, that was inaudible. But Sam Bradford and Dalvin Cook being healthy changes things in their mind. I just...
Interesting.
The thing is with this one, and it's a fun one, I think it's an awesome theory and conversation.
Sure.
I just think when you win 13 games and you won the way you did in the divisional round, I don't think there's any necessarily a player like Sam Bradford that, or even a healthy Dalvin Cook who got off to a great start in those first 4 games.
Right.
I don't think anything changes. Like if they were a 9-7 team,
right,
and maybe they just got hot and they ran through the table in the NFC, okay, then let's have that convo. I just think everything was just so bang, bang, bang and worked that I don't think we can really go down the path of Bradford changes anything.
Well, and what changes? So the game against the Eagles in the conference championship, the Keenum pass gets tipped, return for a touchdown. Bradford probably doesn't throw that. But, to your point, Case was fantastic. Like, Case had a magical year. He had a magical year. Does Bradford have that type of year? And don't forget, too, that with Bradford at quarterback in 2016, the Vikings got off to that great start because Sean Hill started the first week against the Titans, and they won. And then Bradford came in, and what were they, 6-0, 5-0 going into that bye? They blew the Texans out here.
Yeah, they were 5-0 going into the bye.
Okay. And then they fall apart with Bradford. And I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, I don't know that the revisionist part of this, because Case, I never expected Case to repeat that success, and he indeed did not. But he was magical. Like, does Bradford win 14 games? Does Bradford get you home field? I don't know. That is an alternate reality that I don't give a lot of thought to, because that season in so many ways felt special. I mean, the Saints game. I can tell you right now, I don't think Bradford, it took a guy like Keenum who had a caution to the wind attitude, which drove Zimmer crazy to throw that pass to Diggs. So, like, the miracle in and of itself. Now, do they not trail in the second half? I don't know. That's one I don't think about a lot. Like, I think about things like, what if Favre doesn't throw to Sidney Rice? And what if he throws to Bernard Berrian on the sideline and the Vikings kick I think about that type of stuff. 17 felt so special in its own right there until it didn't. I don't give that one a lot of thought.
That
Interesting.
That game was so fun. I don't have the conscience to go back and rewatch that game. But when I was watching it live, even when Keenum threw the pick six, and I know the Vikings scored in their opening drive, and that really got the mojo going. But
Kyle Rudolph, my favorite player.
Even when Keenum threw the pick six, I didn't really have much of a fear. I was like, you know what? This is still a game. This is still fine. They're down 2 possessions, but I'm not worried about it.
Really?
It wasn't until the last play of the first half, the bomb to Jeffrey for a touchdown. I said, well, never mind.
Well, the defense then got done.
Yeah, because the
defense fell apart.
I thought, okay, I think it was 21, or maybe it was 24 or 21-7 going into that play, and I was like, all right, it's 2 touchdowns. Like, okay, that's a lot of time in the NFL. I'm not worried. And then Alshon Jeffrey, I thought that was the true dagger of that game.
And that defense, and the Vikings defense was awful that day. And you know what the most interesting thing is, and we don't talk about it much because the end of this game was so special. The miracle, the second half was a massive problem. Because I believe the Vikings were up by, what was it, a couple touchdowns at halftime of that game? They led.
I think 10 or 13
And they
had
played great. And in the second half, the Saints came out and took a lead. And the defense, if you look statistically, I don't know what Sean Payton found or Drew Brees found, but the Vikings in that game, and this was completely overshadowed by the pass to Diggs from Keenum, but that game was where the problem started. Because that was going to be a brutal loss. That would have been an awful loss. We'd still be talking about that. The Philadelphia loss hurt and was embarrassing, but it was such an ass kicking that it was sort of like, to me, okay, you got your ass kicked. Unfortunate. But if you had gone back and looked at the Saints game and they had lost, that was they fell apart.
Yeah.
So I think that was they were exposed defensively, and it stayed with them for a while. I think that some of what Mike had done so well got figured out and really exploited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, now that wasn't fun. That was not a fun day for me. Last one here. Last comment here from Tom.
Okay.
About the top 25 list.
Oh, yeah.
Good list, but you missed a few that should be on there.
Sure.
Number one, a name I don't believe we broached when we even did our Snubs episode on Monday afternoon. Ed White.
Oh, Ed White, guard, traded to the Chargers in a contract dispute in the 70s for Ricky Young.
He says best right guard in Vikings history.
He's very good.
He and Yeri were a dominant right side of the line.
Oh, God,
he went to the Chargers and made Thunder and Lightning a rushing machine.
That's a good one.
2, Bobby Bryant, 50 interceptions, some of the biggest game-winning plays.
Yeah, that's a tough one, too. I saw Bobby Bryant at the end of his career. That's a good one to bring up. Like, again, this was just so tough. And my problem is there's not, as I said when we recorded the edition going through the Snubs on Monday, my problem was there's not a lot of guys I'd throw off my list, like maybe Burke. But it's not like I have 8 names now where I'm like, you know what? I screwed that up. But yes, White and Bryant are both great names.
And then he says, big fat Pat Williams. You made the Williams Wall the best run-stopping unit.
It was good, but he's not on my list.
No. And then lastly, your guy, who you brought this up, Steve Jordan. Best tight end was I should put him on. Precursor to smaller tight ends that are all the rage in the NFL now.
Bryant, White, Jordan are all great names. And of those 3, I will say this. I think my biggest mistake is Steve Jordan.
Wow. Yeah.
Because the quarterback thing is too tough. The other unfortunate thing is the entire quarterback thing and Tarkington being 2 on my list and the only Vikings quarterback to make my list, as great as that list is, in a nutshell, if you want to know the reason why the Vikings haven't been back to a Super Bowl since the 1976 season, 77 game, in a nutshell, it's very simple. Quarterbacks. Think about it.
Yeah.
There's no quarterback. I mean, and we can debate it, and it's a good debate to have, but there is no clear cut, you left this quarterback off the list. How could you? This guy led them. Phil said Favre. You said Dante. Hell, I said Kramer. Yeah. But what's really sad is, and Tarkington didn't win one, but he went to 3. So anyway.
All right, comments on YouTube.
Great stuff, folks. Thank you.
I love those.
I love the lists. They're fantastic. Ed White, Bobby Bryant, Steve Jordan, awesome.
And yes, we are a Vikings podcast, 365 days a year.
I'm just
sometimes
going.
366.
Yeah, you should have to tell people who you are.
No, not anymore.
That really upsets me.
Come a long way. But if you want your feedback answered, reach out on our YouTube channel. Send us a note via DM or on Score North app. Rate, like, subscribe too. Spread the word about Purple Daily, daily Minnesota Vikings entertainment.